Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Lede Family Live. Jason Lede reporting in from Cliff Lede Vineyards, of course. Great to see you all tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to kick things off here shortly. We've got a lot of great wines to get through and to talk about. We'll have Christopher Tynan, our Director of Winemaking, joining us here today, so he'll be by shortly. But we've got a couple quick notes that I want to make you all aware of. Of course, we've always got fun things happening here at the winery. And as you can see on the reflection in the glass, it is a beautiful day in Napa Valley. And of course, we always want to see you come visit us. So if you get an opportunity to plan a trip out to Napa, come and see us. We got a lot of fun stuff happening. Something I'm very excited about, not so soon, but in the future, coming July of 2026, we are doing our first ever cruise through the Mediterranean, starting in France and making our way down in through Spain and hopping around some islands. I'm really looking forward to that because I will be there. I will be hosting this cruise along with my family will be joining me, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we are selling tickets, and there is a promotional period happening right now. So if you have questions about that, please reach out to us. Let us know. I am very excited that obviously we're going to be seeing a lot of great places and drinking a lot of great wine, hosting seminars and wine dinners, and the triple end in Barcelona, in which we are going to add on an experience at Stellar Mas Deutsch, which is my family's partnership in the Priorat. Not something we talk a lot about. Of course, we're always talking about Cliff Lede wine, but we do have this really fun partnership with an amazing winery in the Priorat wine region. If you've never been, I was literally just there like 8 days ago, and incredible place. One of the greatest wine regions on the planet with incredible wines, great people. And I'd love to show you the new winery we built out there. So check out the cruise. In addition to that, a couple other things. Our Mardi Gras dinner. This is more immediate. This is coming up March 1st. There's still a few tickets remaining. So if you're thinking of some last minute gift ideas, trip ideas, come see us, come to the Mardi Gras dinner. I will unfortunately not be there, but I believe, Chris, are you doing the Mardi Gras? Chris is going to be there. So Chris Tynan, of course, winemaker, Director of Winemaking, is going to be hosting that amazing event. Mardi Gras, of course, lots of fun. The menu is really interesting and fun. You're going to have great wines, including our new vintage of Songbook, which we'll talk about today. And just a quick note on that. This was a very, very small production of Songbook, given the small production we had in 2022. So Platinum Playlist members can customize their shipments now. And if anybody else is interested, if you're not a Platinum member, but you'd love to get some Songbook, reach out to us. We'll do what we can. But again, this was a very, very small production year, so we can't guarantee anything. So let's get to wine. Chris is here waiting patiently. Chris, come on and join, because we're talking mostly about Cliff Lede wine today, and we've got a brand new incredible white wine that we've I was going to say we've never made, but we actually had Chardonnay back in 2002 or 3 when my dad first bought the winery. We made a little bit of Chardonnay from the Carneros region, and shortly after the following years, we decided to, of course, focus more on Bordeaux varieties, and we've been doing that ever since and still continue to do so. But in 2020, we purchased a great vineyard down in Carneros. We planted some Chardonnay there, and we decided, you know what, we're not going to sell all these grapes. We're going to keep some for ourselves and make some great wine. And Chris is joining us to tell us about that. So we've got the 2023 Cliff Lede Napa Valley Chardonnay. It's Napa Valley, but I can tell you, since you're watching the show, this is the single vineyard wine from our property in Carneros. So it's kind of our first crack at bringing Chardonnay back into the fold. And let's taste it, and let's hear from the man himself about how he approached it. By the way, I can see Carol's already in the chat. Love that. If you have questions, throw them at us, because obviously we've got some new wines to talk about, and you might have questions about that. So there's that chat function down there. Please use that to throw us questions your way. Anyway, that's enough talking for me. Chris, tell us about this lovely wine.
This lovely wine is from our property down there in Carneros, and when we initially planted it, we kind of looked to the great Chardonnays that have been made throughout the years in California, and we used some heritage clones for this wine. So we've got some Robert Young, Wente. What are the clones that I just flew out of my head? Robert Young, Wente,
That's
Mount
the-
Eden. Sorry, it goes in there, and all these heritage clones are just known for their small berries. They're kind of odd clusters, like the Wente clusters, just these little heads and chicks. Really concentrated, very floral, very aromatic, and just a gorgeous little expression. We decided to kind of pick on the earlier side to really retain that beautiful acidity that's just the hallmark of great Carnero Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
And but then because we picked early, we wanted to add a little richness and fatness, so we went through full malolactic fermentation in French oak barrels. So it's very fresh, very acidic, in a great way, bright, but also has a kind of finishes rich with kind of a beautiful honeycomb texture. It's just gorgeous kind of integration of oak and site and clones. And
I love the way you're describing it. I mean, this to me is such a nod to classic Napa Chardonnay, but with a very Cliff Lede stylistic touch. Like there's vibrancy and there's finesse. I mean, if you love our Sauvignon Blanc, if you love the textural components of our Sauvignon Blanc, this wine rides that same wavelength that has lovely creaminess. And with the malolactic fermentation, it's certainly a bit more, a bit richer than say our Sauvignon Blanc would be. And the fruit profile, of course, is a little different. But this is still a very lifted expression of Chardonnay. This is not going to be, your big, heavy-hitting vanilla, buttery style, but it has a lot of textural elements and creaminess, and the fruit is just really wonderful for such a young vineyard. I'm truly impressed at how this turned out, and I mean it's obviously a testament to Chris and the team here. First crack at it. I mean, what kind of drove the stylistic decisions here for you?
Well, just just accentuating what's great about Carneros. It's just a very cool spot. And so we didn't want to fight that. We didn't want to just hang the fruit out there until October and get it to 16% alcohol and kind of lose all that nuance. We really wanted to show off that terroir and that location so close to the San Pablo Bay. I mean, it's really kind of ocean notes out there. And yeah, like I said, just the beautiful clonal selection with hide, and it just really brings out this beautiful kind of mineral element too that's in there. We didn't want to lose that by just getting it overripe and being too unctuous and too kind of cloying. So
and it was fun to put this wine together because you had all these different clones and you could blend, and I mean you used a mix of cooperages as well, so we could really dial in the stylistic way we wanted to lean. And Carol's got a question: how old the vines? The vines are young. We planted this vineyard in 2020, so with 2023, this would have probably been the first year we got a meaningful crop off the vineyard. And so, to be showing this level of quality at such a young age is really encouraging. And this, these wines are only going to get better and better and better as the time goes on, and as we learn more about the vineyard, of course, and how to farm it, and how to, coax the most complexity and nuance out of it. Truly an exciting thing happening here. This is a small production wine. I think we made 500 or 600 cases, something like that in the first go. And we might make a little bit more with the 2024 vintage. So this is not something that you're going to see everywhere. This is something that you can get through, of course, our tasting room, and we'll be introducing it to, of course, through your wine club. So we really hope you enjoy it. We want you to, call us, send us an email, and tell us what you think of it, because I'm really excited about it. It's nice to have a Chardonnay in the Cliff Lede lineup, and something that we grow and that we farm, and it's from our site. So cheers to that. That was really nicely weighed for the first crack at it, I got to say. Lovely, delicious. We'll take a quick shift from Cliff Lede Vineyards and talk very briefly about our final Fell selection here, the Heritage Clones Pinot Noir. This is the final wine coming from Fell Wines. The 2022 vintage was the last year we harvested fruit for the Fell project. And so, of course, this wine coming from the Anderson Valley, from the Savoy Vineyard, and a mix of what Chris was speaking just previously a couple of moments ago about heritage clones. On the Chardonnay side, we planted many of the California Chardonnay heritage clones on our site in Napa. This wine brings you the Pinot Noir heritage clones that we had up at the Savoy Vineyard. So Martini, Swan, Calera, selection of clones that have done really well here in California over the years. I'll pour you a little bit there, Chris, if you want to share a little insight of what you think. But this wine typically shows, of course, what makes Savoy great. It sits in the middle of the Anderson Valley, so a high range in temperatures throughout the day, warm days, cool nights, not unlike what we get here in the Stag's Leap district. And with the final, maybe the last few vintages of the Fell wines, we really backed off on the usage of oak. So the fruit is very pure. We really want that spice and that Anderson Valley dark, sort of cherry cola quality to come through in the wine without, really any oak having an impact on the flavor profile. So this is oak aged, but it's not new oak. I should say that. So it's not going to add flavor, but it's going to have a nice little. It's going to soften the acidity and the freshness, which truly this wine showcases as well. It sits at 13.8 alcohol, so it's quite lifted on the palate. Chris, what do you think?
Oh my gosh, I could. Smells like having a little dinner on the Pacific Ocean somewhere up near Mendocino, or just gorgeous little aromas of ocean breeze and forest floor, just kind of the hallmarks of those Anderson Valley Pinots.
Yeah,
great.
But very bright. I mean, this is something that even could have a little bottle age, would help things just integrate a little bit further and drive a little bit more nuance. But I'm a sucker for these young California Pinot Noirs. I love having these straight out of the gate. Throw some salmon on the barbecue. Boom. That's all you need. Just salt and pepper, maybe a little olive oil. Don't get too crazy. And wow, that is lovely. So if you're interested in grabbing any of the final release from Fell, please let us know. And we'll be happy to share that. Moving right along, back to the Cliff Lede Vineyards new releases. High Fidelity first before Oakville? All right, let's do it. So 2022 High Fidelity, always a fun wine to blend and to, come up with, because it's quite a departure from our typical Cabernet Sauvignon based wine program. This is the one wine we make that is, of course, a Bordeaux blend, but Cabernet Sauvignon takes more of the backseat role here. It's Cabernet Franc, Merlot driven, and in 2022, I mean, Chris, tell us, what do you think of the 22 vintage and how this wine came together?
Yeah, 2022 was a really warm vintage, but Cab Franc really excelled really, really well in that warm vintage. It just showed really beautifully, very perfumed, very aromatic, not as densely structured as some years, but it's lighter on its feet. It's more perfumed, and that's what we really strive for with our wines, is that great perfume. And it's just great little. I mean, I love the tobacco. It's almost like a new tobacco and dried leaves, just beautiful.
Yeah, there's always a lovely plushness to this wine. I feel like if you love drinking Cabernet, which I do, sometimes every once in a while you want to switch it up. You want something that has concentration and has fruit and has that like stamp of Napa Valley, but isn't dialed up to 11. That's where I feel the High Fidelity really sits. It's got a plushness and approachability. It's got this lovely spectrum of fruit flavors and the savoriness and the earthiness that Chris was touching on. This is one of my favorite wines that we make, because it just is a bit of a creative departure, right? We focus a lot on Cabernet and Cabernet based blends. So this is where we kind of get to have fun and play around with Franc, really, I guess, more or less leading the charge in the last few years. Yeah. We love it so much so that, we've talked about our Carneros vineyard a little bit so far today. That's an 87-acre vineyard that was replanted in 2020. We've actually named that vineyard the High Fidelity Vineyard, because we've got a substantial amount of Cabernet Franc and Merlot planted down there. So we hope that in time, as that vineyard matures, more of those grapes will make their way into the High Fidelity wine, and this becomes more of an estate grown, estate driven wine. Current grape sources. This is from the Rhythm Vineyard here in Stag's Leap District, and
David Avery's Madrona Ranch for the Cab Franc.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Madrona Ranch. I mean, we're going to talk about that, I guess, with Songbook, but it's a famous vineyard.
Yeah, and I've been lucky to work with those grapes since 2006. I've had a long history there working with David and his vineyard, and it's one of the Grand Crus of Napa Valley on the west side of the town of St. Helena, just above Spotswood, if you know where that is, on Madrona Avenue. And so Just really alluvial soils, really well drained, gravelly, just a little tucked in spot right up against the forest, and it's just produces some amazing, consistently amazing wines every year. So we're lucky to get that fruit. It's just farm to perfection.
Absolutely. And one of the few wineries that has access to that fruit, especially the Cabernet Franc. I don't see much Madrona Cabernet like that.
We're the
Neighbor
only
doesn't
ones
make
now.
one, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. Makes for a great wine. Give it a try. I would say, drinking great. The 22s are pretty, out of the gate, pretty approachable. I don't know if you have a different opinion on 22s, if you'd hold them a little while, or I like them straight up. They're just explosive and lovely, and
they're just beautiful young textures that are just going to be creamy and accessible really early on. Mm-hmm. That warm vintage kind of makes more accessible wines earlier on. So all the benefit for us.
Mm-hmm. Warm vintage, but still very bright wines. I mean, this is 13.8 alcohol. So, I mean, this is not a big, bruiser of a wine. I don't think any of our 22s really are. Chris, in his infinite winemaking wisdom, started picking the fruit early as that heat was starting to build at the beginning of the September of 2022. So bringing that fruit in a little early and keeping the natural acidity. These wines are really lovely and again, approachable. Got a quick question from Jeff here on the topic of Merlot. Are we going to bottle a Merlot in the future? Maybe. We've talked about the possibility of doing all sorts of things now that we'll have more fruit coming off of our high fidelity vineyard down south. Again, we've got Cabernet Franc down there. We've got Merlot. So how that evolves into our program is still yet to be determined. But ultimately, we want to make sure that if we do put anything into a bottle, that it carries that Cliff Lede mark of quality. So once we start seeing that, we might be able to do some fun Merlot from down in Carneros or Cabernet Franc, which I know we've had a lot of members ask us for Cabernet Franc over the years. We still feel that, it does so well together. Both those varieties do so well together in high fidelity. But we'll see. Great question, Jeff. And we'll be excited to announce more things as time goes on and as decisions are made. But for now, high fidelity, enjoy that. Such a great wine. And okay, we'll do the 2022 Oakville now.
Right.
So more or less another single vineyard wine, kind of one of those wines that comes from an undisclosed vineyard that we find that we think is producing top quality grapes that isn't as well known as some of the other top vineyards in Oakville. I mean, Oakville's a great appellation just north of us here in Stags Leap District. Well known for the Tokalon Vineyard, Opus One, Dollar Valle's there, Screaming Eagle. I mean, this is one of the greatest appellations of Napa Valley, and this vineyard sits just north of us and on the east side of the valley here, and very gravelly soils, very pebbly, rocky soils. I mean, kind of an interesting spot.
Planted on an old ancient creek bed from the Rector Creek, so it's just it's the most rocky vineyard I've ever seen in the entire Napa Valley. It reminds me more of Chateauneuf than it does Napa Valley. It's just a really beautiful spot, really rocky, and I think the terroir just kind of screams in the glass. It's so pebbly and rocky and gravelly, with those beautiful Oakville notes of cassis and blackberry, and it's just really gorgeous.
Yeah, definitely getting a little bit more, depth here. This is Cabernet Sauvignon. I'm not sure if we blended any little bits of anything in here, but this is a wine where we're really trying to show Cabernet from a different appellation. We do this for our Howell Mountain. We do this for our Rutherford, our Oakville here. Like, that's the point of these vineyard selection wines, is to showcase Cabernet from different appellations. So yeah, this has been a fun wine. I think 21 the first Oakville when we brought it back in. So yeah, second crack at it. It's powerful, but again, nice tension there, and just, man, you really dialed in the tannins this year. They're just very plush, and even for such a high percentage Cabernet wine, it's really lovely.
Pretty floral notes in this year too. Just the perfume on the 22s are really excited and happy about.
So again, a wine that we typically only offer to club. Maybe we pour it a little bit in the tasting room. If you like this, let us know. We'd be happy to get you more of it. It is one of those, limited production wines. We don't send it out to restaurants or to our distributor partners or export or anything like that. So this is a special wine that, again, just kind of lets Chris exercise his Cabernet muscle, working with all these great Cabernet vineyards. And there you go. So 2022 Oakville Vineyard Selection, great stuff. Which brings us to our final wine, and I know we've been like ripping through them tonight. So again, if I'm going too quick, if you have questions, throw them out there. But we'll take a little more time here because I didn't pre-open this wine because I was going to talk a little bit about some of the packaging changes that we made with some of our call them our platinum wines, so our Songbook and our Tokalon. We'll have a new bottle for Rhythm as well. You may have seen that, the 2022. We switched to a lighter glass bottle, still a very beautiful, elegant bottle, but something that's a little bit lighter, a little bit more environmentally friendly. And we also made a pretty dramatic packaging change on our Songbook and Tokalon wines. So first, you'll notice it's in this beautiful, brilliant white paper as opposed to the former creamy, wrapping that it had before, but lovely Songbook sticker on there to identify what the wine is. We'll go ahead and take this off and recycle it, of course. That's what we want to do. Beautiful. So this new label, as you can see, if you've seen Rhythm, if you've had that beautiful wine, you can notice that this more or less mimics the Rhythm label, although it, of course, in that brilliant white. We felt very important to emphasize the Cliff Lede brand, which you've got there in that lovely gold. And then all of your wine information down below here with Songbook, Cabernet, Napa Valley, and the vintage as well in that beautiful split label. Again, the bottle is you may not even notice that it's that much different than the previous, but the packaging certainly is. And I truly do love handling this bottle, also because this bottle fits nicely into a wine rack. It sits really beautifully down. And so you don't have to worry about, scratching the label or anything like that. But you'll notice as we move forward with Songbook and Tokalon, Rhythm, they have this lovely cohesive look. And it's something we've been working on for years. I mean, gosh, we came up with these plans. We were working on this back in 21, 22. So really excited about that. I hope you guys love it when you see it. Well, let's open it up and try it. How about that? While I'm doing that, Chris, why don't you give us your sort of rundown on Songbook and how this wine came together in 2022?
Yeah, I think Jason talked earlier about picking early. In 2022 was with a warm year. We saw like a big heat wave coming, so we decided to pick really fast. Early September, we picked our entire estate in 2 weeks. All of our grower vineyards were within a week because we wanted to protect that delicate fruit from those hot temperatures that were coming. And I think what that did was allow us to preserve the freshness inherent in those grapes. Just the wild aromatics as well, the delicate aromatics that would have been just baked off with the heat. The fresh acidity, and we wanted to keep those alcohols lower too because we wanted the wines to be in balance. So I think this is a testament to all those decisions that we made. We have an optical sorting system in here that really helped us as well to get anything that wasn't perfect out into the compost pile. And then we did a really tough selection on blending as well. We only picked the very best barrels from the very best blocks. I think this vintage of Songbook is where we bottled 50% of what we usually do. It was a very small production because we wanted to give you guys the best wine possible, and every year we do that. So we didn't want to try to hit some arbitrary case count based on what's going out to platinum playlists. We want to make the best wine possible for you guys because you support us and we support you.
Well, it's our duty, right? It's our duty to always put quality in the bottle as much as possible.
And honestly, it's purely selfish, isn't it? Because we don't want to be sitting around drinking a crappy wine for the next 20 years. We want to be enjoying the good wine. And, it's important to have people that work for the winery that are interested in making great wine.
Absolutely. So the first thing I notice on this wine is just how deep that color is. I mean, that has got some serious intensity. It's almost got that youthful, magenta. Wow, that is very pretty, very pretty.
That wine.
And the thing I always love about Songbook is it hits the same. Like it intrigues me as much as poetry or Tokalan does, but they're all different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so each of these wines, I mean, poetry, of course, is my favorite. I get that question. What's your favorite? Of course, poetry, of course. But I truly have grown over the years to appreciate Tokalan and its nuances, and this wine, Songbook, and how it showcases Madrona Ranch, and even a little bit of poetry in certain years, makes it into the blend. And did we get a little bit of the Howell, the Lucia Vineyard in here as well?
Yeah. A little bit of Howell Mountain from David's Vineyard on Howell Mountain, and then Madrona Ranch with some Franc and Cabernet from there. And then some of our finer blocks in poetry, kind of rounding out the blend. So, yeah.
So you'll notice this wine doesn't have a sub-appellation designation. It's not St. Helena, it's not Stag's Leap District, it's not Oakville, it's Napa Valley, because we kind of leave the door open to blend in a little bit of poetry if we want, and blend in a little bit of we'll really base it off of Madrona Ranch, but blend in a bit of David's Lucia Vineyard up on Howell Mountain, and kind of tell this story of great vineyards, coming together like an artist's songbook, right? And it's kind of like a greatest hits, telling a more compelling story in one go. So really awesome. Just small production. I guess that's the only negative thing I can say about this wine.
There's not much of it. Yeah. Gorgeous.
Yeah, much like the other 22s, very approachable, but this one I could see could rest a little bit and just let it flesh out a little bit. But again, like it's not
no rush.
Yeah, it's not a wine that's going to beat up your palate. There's such an elegance to the 22s, and I feel every time we come back to them and taste them, I feel they gain an extra level of, I don't know, complexity, and they just have developed so much further. So, within the next few years, this might just be like, boom, really hitting its stride. 13.6 alcohol, so very, very balanced. Again, that preserving that natural acidity, something that I think has really become important to the winemaking here. Making wines that express place, but are still, very well balanced on all ends of the spectrum. So that's fantastic. First of the platinum releases in the new packaging. The next up will be the Tokalan in a few months, and then we'll have more, a little bit more preview of poetry and what's happening with that with the 2022. But if you're looking for some poetry, we still have some 2021, which recently just got its second 100-point score. So that's kind of exciting. We've never had two different publications give poetry a 100-point score, but the 2021 achieved that, and we still have a little bit left of that in the release. So if you are interested in 2021 poetry, please let us know. And gosh, I guess that's all the wine. It was just a quick 5 wines tonight. It looks like, let's see, we've got Carol's got a question about the cruise, which we started the webinar with. So yes, cruise coming July 2026. I plan to be there to host most of the events that we are planning. Of course, this is a ways away, but we're working on the details now. We'll probably do wine seminars and dinners and receptions and things like that, and then daily excursions into all these great areas that we will be visiting. Plus, I'm not sure if you caught, but we'll be visiting our partners in the Priorat at Mas Deutsch Winery, which of course I am not going to miss that, because I absolutely love that wine region. I love the food, I love the wine. And so if you haven't been to Barcelona, even if you haven't been in this fashion. So think about coming to check out the cruise. And there is a promotional pricing period. Promotional pricing period. All right. I sound like a salesman. Isn't that what I do here? I guess it is. Promotional period right now. So if you're thinking about it, I would dive in right now, because it's good to take advantage of that while you can, because those prices will go up. So, will Chris or Travis be on the cruise?
I don't know.
It's up to them, I guess. I guess it depends how many tickets we sell. Because the more we sell, the more people we'll need from our winery. So, possible. I've committed. We'll see if we can twist Chris's arm, maybe Travis. But it's going to be really great. I promise. The group we're working with to help plan it has done these before, and they're very professional. So the food's going to be great. My dad, doubtful. I don't know if he's that much of a cruise guy. I don't know if I am. I'm just going just to check it out. So, we'll see. But Carol, we have fun. So it's going to be a good time. Gosh, did I miss anything here? Oh, there was a question from Jeff about Fell. So really quickly on that, the Fell wines, the last vintage we made of Fell was 2022. So we're no longer producing Fell. A lot of that was driven by the decision we made back in, was that 2023 to sell the Savoy Vineyards. So we sold the Savoy Vineyard, which was our estate. And after that, we decided to wholly focus around Cliff Lede, to focus around the 160 plus acres we have here in Napa Valley, and to maximize what we can achieve with our Cliff Lede Vineyards winery, with Chris and team. And of course, with Cabernet leading the charge and poetry, but also new things like the Chardonnay and the other varietals we spoke about. So there's a lot of excitement, a lot of opportunity for us here in Napa Valley, and our family decided to focus around that. So we'll miss the Fell wines. We love the Fell wines. There's still some remaining, and we'll be announcing more about opportunities to take advantage of the remaining large formats and things like that. All of that information will be coming soon. But in the meantime, enjoy what you've got. Let us know if you need more. And what else can I say? It was a great lineup of wines. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you'll come and join us here in the Napa Valley sometime soon. If it's not for the Mardi Gras dinner coming up, the Rock Block party is coming up. We're working on the details of that. We've got a band lined up. We're working on food. So that's in May. And then we'll, of course, have the poetry dinner in the vineyard in August, which is always one of my favorite events. You get to sit outside, have this lovely dinner. And, of course, you get to enjoy poetry. Usually, multiple vintages. Doesn't get any better than that. So come see us. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Chris, thank you for all the great wine you make and for joining us to tell us about the wines tonight. And, that'll be it. So you don't have any wine in your glass. So we don't want to have any bad luck. What a beautiful evening to enjoy great glass of Songbook. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, folks.